Are you overwhelmed with the property conditions of your inherited property? Today, I'm going to show you the solutions of how you can maximize the sale of your inherited property. Hi everyone, my name is Carolynn Castillo with Probate Property Angels, where we believe your inheritance is a blessing, not a burden. When you inherit a property, the property conditions can be quite overwhelming. Most times when you're inheriting a property, it is from an older generation. These homes are very commonly have carpet, wallpaper, and original appliances. Now, these property conditions, when you're inheriting them, can be quite overwhelming, and you may be thinking, should I be updating these? Should I replace the floors? Because there is an opportunity that you want to maximize the value of the property. Now, what happens with inherited properties is that they are heavily preyed on by investors. Investors know that there's a lot of logistics and a lot of coordination with property conditions on inherited properties, and they're wanting to take it off your hands for a good price. Today, we're going to dive into how you can maximize the value of your inherited property and overcome the challenges of property conditions. Let's dive in. So as we get into the property conditions of an inherited property, I want to break it down into three categories. So the first category of property conditions regards to the contents of the home. Now, the contents of the home is a very important part of inherited property. Now, a regular real estate sale, you're selling your house with all your stuff inside of it. You're going to take all that stuff to your new property. When you're selling an inherited property, all the contents are not yours. So usually the first layer of dealing with the property contents is the family. So your family is going to come in, they're going to remove the things that they want from the property, and they're going to take the sentimentals or whatever was in the will that's supposed to go to certain people. But in all the houses that I've sold, I have never seen a family take every single thing from an inherited property. So typically the next step in the property content is typically going to be dealt with through an estate sale or working with the local charity that collects donations for household items. Then the third part of the property contents will typically be dealt with by a property whole home clean out. This is where they're going to remove everything from the house, anything from a fork all the way to furniture and everything in between. So that's the first phase of the property conditions. The reason that this is so important is that when you're first walking into a property and you have it for sale, if people see the property in complete disarray, if the house is cluttered and messy and it hasn't been prepared for sale, this ultimately deters the marketability of the property. And most inherited properties that I walk through, they already look a bit distressed. So when a property is looking distressed, that affects the marketability and that affects the offer that your family is going to receive. The next thing we want to talk about when it comes to property conditions is the actual condition of the property. So after we've dealt with all the contents and we've gotten everything removed from the home, now is when we've got to walk through that property and we've got to see what are the odds and ends that are not right in the house, okay? Now, remember, selling an inherited property is a lot different than you or I selling a property. If today I decide I'm going to move to Las Vegas and I'm going to put my house up for sale, then little by little, I'm going to start saying, oh, let me fix that leaky faucet. Let me paint that stain I have on my ceiling. Let me fix that sliding glass door that doesn't open, right? These are all easy little things that we can do to basically present the home in the best possible light that it can be presented in. So now you as the executor need to walk this property and say, okay, this needs some painting, this needs this needs that, this needs this, and then start working on those issues. Now there's one thing that I want to say here at this point. What I see commonly with executors is sometimes they get caught up in the opportunity of the sale. So they start envisioning or they start thinking about investing in the property. They start thinking about spending their own money to fix the floors and update the appliances and update the bathrooms and things like that. And I typically do not recommend you doing that. to really make the most money out of your inherited property is to not invest any money whatsoever or as very little as possible and sell the property as is. So typically what we're looking at doing when we're walking this property and evaluating the conditions, the term that I use with my team is take the edge off. So we just want you to address the things that are just, eyesores, right? So you're walking into a home and you see a big mark on the wall. I actually went to a property and we're just in the process, in fact, of doing a kitchen remodel. And all the cabinets were down from the kitchen. The kitchen was there, the cabinets were there, the backsplash was there, but it wasn't actually on the walls. So in that case, we definitely went ahead and got our team to install the cabinets, put the backsplash, because it was already there. It was already in the process. You wouldn't believe how often that happens where people end up passing away right when they're in the middle of a renovation. I've been to properties where they were just changing out an air conditioning and they got the new air conditioning, but they never fixed the drywall where they were having the leak. So there's a water stain on the ceiling right now, which there is no current leak in the property because they already put in new air conditioning. So I would instruct my team to go in and paint that ceiling, remove the distress, remove the eyesores that you see around the property. And then what we also recommend, after we've removed everything from the house, all the contents, we've addressed the property conditions, then I like to clean this place up, okay? So when we clean up the house, we always recommend a deep cleaning on the property. This is where even an original stove, even an original kitchen, they always look better squeaky clean. So our team comes in and they clean the fridge, they clean the cabinets, they clean the windows, they clean the baseboards, they wipe down the doors, and this is going to create a clear and clean atmosphere with no eyesores that you can really see is going to affect the presentation of the property. Once you've gotten this done, it's the ongoing maintenance of property maintenance that the property is going to need. So when you inherit a property, nobody's typically living in the home. Sometimes there is, but most of the time when you inherit a home, nobody's living inside the property. So it takes time to go through probate, and it also takes time to sell the home. Well, while you're going through that whole process, guess what? The grass keeps growing, the pool needs to be maintained, the utilities have to be on, and the house has to be maintained while you're going through the process. So that's a very important aspect in this process, because if you clean out the house, you have no content, and then you get it all cleaned up, you remove the edge, but then you just forget about the landscaping, you forget about the pool, you're not paying the utilities, that property is going to quickly become distressed and it's going to affect the overall sale, okay? Now here at Probate Property Angels, we help with all property preparation. So if you're hearing me right now and you're saying, oh my gosh, Carolyn, I'm overwhelmed, like there's no way I'm going to be able to pull this all off, I think I'm just going to have to sell to an investor. Well, that's not the case, because here at Probate Property Angels, we stand ready to jump in and become your hands and feet in tackling all of this for your family, and you don't have to do anything. Because a distressed property sale can literally cost your family tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, just based off of the property looking distressed and the property conditions looking poor. Now, another important thing that we need to talk about is the logistics of getting all this done, okay? Now, I'm here saying it very easily to you because this is what we do all day long helping our executors. But we understand that this is a huge burden as far as your personal life, as far as managing the inherited property. The logistics of getting all this done, I see a lot of families struggle with. It sounds simple. Clear out the house, clean it up, and maintain it. It really truly sounds simple. But when it comes down to actually doing it, you already have your own house. You have your own career, your job, your kids, your activities, your hobbies, and your prior commitments. So now having to maintain an inherited property, sometimes you don't live close to this inherited property, which makes it even harder to handle. So you have to basically work it out within your personal life that you're going over, and typically people don't have a whole week that they can dedicate to cleaning out a house. They have to go over there weekend by weekend. Another thing that I see in families struggling with this is families participating and families not participating. So a lot of times, all of this work can just boil down on one executor. Typically, it's the heir that's closest to the property or whoever was helping the deceased the most. Other heirs live out of the state or live out of the area, and it makes it hard for the family really to come together and work together to get these things done. Because again, it can be a lot to manage doing all these things. The third thing about the logistics is the financial aspect, right? So when we talk about executors trying to handle this on their own, whether they're going to pay a company and do the property preparation, somebody has to pay for that up front. And typically executors don't have access to their loved one's financials yet. That's why they're going through probate. So they end up having to use their own resources, their own money, to go ahead and start fixing the house up, getting it cleaned out, and getting these things done. Now, not all families have the wherewithal to spend the time, to spend the money, to come together as a family and get all of this stuff done. And because a family has a hard time getting this stuff done, that's when the investors step in. That's when the investors capitalize on your burden, and then they say, we will help you out. We will give you a cash offer as is. And that cash offer is typically anywhere from 30 to 50% less than what fair market value is for the property. So here at Probate Property Angels, we want to offer families like you a free consultation to discuss with you your specific situation and how we can help you actually manage everything that we discussed today. And our vendors will actually do the work that needs to be done to get the property presentable and ready for the market and actually bill it to the closing. So physically, you do not have to do any of the work, and financially, you do not have to put any of the money up front to actually get the work done. That sounds like something that would help your family out. I encourage you to visit our website at probatepropertyangels.com and book a free consultation so we can speak with your family. Here at my team, what we do is we believe in the presentation of the home. The effects of the value of the property is in the presentation of the home. If you inherit your property and it's in complete disarray, the grass is overgrown, the AC, the utilities are not on in the property, no buyer is going to give you fair market value for that property. It's only going to attract investors and lowball offers. So that's why we partner with our families in preparing these homes for sale, removing bad things off of the property. And our system is actually quite simple. It sounds simple, but logistically it can be challenging for families. Here at Probate Property Angels, this is literally what we do all day long, is help executors just like yourself clean the property up, get it all cleared out, and present a clean and clear, beautiful home, restoring the integrity back to the real estate and removing any signs of distress from the probate off of the property so that your family can sell at absolute top dollar.